Now, 50 years ago, the former Ugandan dictator Idi Amin gave thousands of Asians living in the country 3 months from the 5th of August 1972 to get out. Many of them were British passport holders, and Navtesh Johal has been speaking to some of those who settled in Leicester.
The Asians arrived in cold, wet weather at Stansted.
For Asians arriving in the UK from Uganda in 1972, at times the reception from locals felt as unwelcoming as the weather.
They have been milking the economy of the country.
The former military ruler, President Idi Amin, said Uganda's Asians, brought to the country by the British, were depriving black Africans of opportunities and gave Asians who held British passports 90 days to leave the country or face being put in concentration camps. One of them was Mansour Mogul, a businessman and a prominent member of Uganda's Asian community who had met Amin on several occasions.
Because I had to flee the country in the darkness of the night with my wife and children because my life was threatened. I came to know that I was on his hit list, and I would have been bumped off had I stayed much longer in the country.
Mansour and his family arrived in Leicester where a friend had offered to house them and where there was already a growing Asian community. But not everyone was so friendly. The National Front organised a march in the city in response to the Ugandan Asians' arrival.
Leicester was unwelcoming. It was racist. It's unwelcoming.
We've had loads of objects that people have lent us for the exhibition.
In the city today, there is an exhibition marking 50 years since the arrival of the Ugandan Asians. And the woman who's organised it was one of them. Nisha Popat was just 9 years old when her family had to leave.
What were your first impressions of Leicester when you arrived?
Initially, I kind of thought it's strange, but part of me felt it was like an adventure. And I think I didn't totally grasp that this would be home.
Nisha remembers the kindness of neighbours. But as she got older, she became more aware of the racism around her. She recalls one incident at a fun fair she attended with her brother, where there were other Asian families.
And then all of a sudden, there was a group of young men, skinheads, who just literally ran across the park. They pulled out the stakes from the ground, and they were starting to hit the people. And it was families with young children. It was just horrible. And my brother just grabbed my hand and we ran, and ran like mad.
The discrimination was perhaps no surprise. Leicester City Council had published an advert in a Ugandan national newspaper discouraging Asians from coming to the city, claiming its resources were too strained.
The advert was an appalling thing to do. I think perhaps it was counterproductive because probably it alerted people to the fact that there was this place called Leicester and there was already an established community here that they might want to join. Every aspect of the city's life has enormously benefited from everything that they and indeed the generations that have followed them have contributed.
If you want to get a sense of the impact that Ugandan Asians have had on Leicester, then you need to come here to Belgrave Road. This is one of the main routes into the city. But before they arrived, it was earmarked for demolition. And over the last 50 years, they've helped to rejuvenate it by setting up businesses, shops, restaurants, and it's now known as the Golden Mile.
I think it's transformed the city. I think it's been a catalyst for so much.
Leicester was rejuvenated with the Ugandan Asian contribution, and that has remained permanent and has grown since then.
Conqueror of the British Empire in Africa, and Uganda in particular.
Alongside the exhibition, Leicester's biggest theatre is staging 3 plays about the Ugandan Asians. A new public artwork has also been commissioned to recognise their contribution. In a city where initially many faced hostility, it has become home. Navtesh Johal, BBC News, Leicester.